Welcome and thank you for standing by. Your lines are in listen-only mode until today's question and answer session. If you would like to queue up to ask a question, you may do so by pressing star and then 1. Today's conference is being recorded. If you have any objection, you may disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the call over to Tyson Weister. You may begin.
Hi, thank you. And thank you all for joining the webinar this afternoon. My name is Tyson Weister. I work at the U.S. Census Bureau's Center for Enterprise Dissemination. Today we're going to talk about accessing census data in 2019, the transition to data.census.gov. So our goal for everyone on the call is to make sure you all walk away with a clear understanding of the longer-term vision we're working towards with data.census.gov, especially for those of you who may be newer and hearing about this more recently. Then we'll take a look at the current snapshot where we are at today with the site. The focus of the webinar today will be on providing a live demonstration. So 1 week ago on April 2nd, we released a lot of updates to the site that we want to highlight for you all. And in addition, we want to make sure that we take you through a full tour of the site and make sure you all leave the webinar today feeling comfortable accessing tables, maps, and profiles from data.census.gov. Talk about some tips and tricks during the live demo and afterwards, and then give you all a sneak preview at what we're working on right now to see where we're going and open it up for questions. So that long-term vision for data.census.gov is tied to the Census Bureau's mission to serve as the leading source of quality data about the nation's people and economy. Ever since the first census in 1790, we've been collecting and processing quality information, but it hasn't always been the easiest to find. And here's a look at why. So we launched census.gov in 1994, and since then we've organically added individual tools and applications over time. This is just a small selection of some of the most popular ones, but there's actually hundreds of different tools and applications where you can access census data now. Couple of problems with this. One, you need to know to go to external sites in order to access the information. And two, you had to take time to learn each tool individually, and the skills you learned in accessing data for the Census Bureau in one tool weren't necessarily transferable in helping you access Census Bureau data in another tool. So with this, we've received overwhelming feedback to make things simple, put things all in one place for you, and that's where we're headed with data.census.gov. It's much larger than the replacement of any one particular tool. What we're working towards is making all of the Census Bureau data accessible to you in one place. So to look at this another way, here we have in the upper right the before picture of how we've been doing things all along, where the Census Bureau collects information, processes, edits, and reviews it, and then disseminates it out through multiple websites that you have to navigate to and know to sort through in order to access the end result data on the right-hand side that you're looking for. With Enterprise Dissemination, we continue to collect information, prepare, edit, review it, disseminate it one time through the Census Bureau's API on a single platform where you can search in order to access the Census Bureau data all in one place. Some benefits of this listed on the upper left-hand side of the slide. Our goal is for you all to spend less time searching for data and more time using it by streamlining your access. Enterprise Dissemination also allows us to maintain the best functionality of our current tools when we have something that's working particularly well. For instance, mapping functionality on Census Business Builder, we can take that functionality, take best practices, develop it one time on data.census.gov, and apply it across all of the Census Bureau's data for that mapping functionality instead of the select few estimates that are on Census Business Builder. We can also reduce redundancies and operational costs. For data.census.gov, we deliver and review the data one time on the API and the single platform instead of duplicating this process across hundreds of different tools and applications. And everything from data.census.gov is fed from the Application Programming Interface, or API, which allows us to provide you greater access. In the short term, you're seeing greater access to the API as more data. So as some examples, for the first time, there's new surveys and programs that are loading their data into the API specifically so that their data can also be available on this platform, data.census.gov. Also, for data that you already know and love from the API, like the American Community Survey, you'll see additional types of tables added that go hand in hand with this project. So as an example, right now you can access selected population profiles from the API on the live site. So the long-term vision for data.census.gov, we've been operating a while, since 2016, as a preview site. We're transitioning to becoming the primary way of accessing data from the Census Bureau, and then our long-term vision would be that you would just go to census.gov to access this information rather than data.census.gov. We're not quite to the point of merging into the single search bar on census.gov, but that is what we're working towards in the long-term vision to streamline your access. So with that long vision, let's take a look at where we are today with data.census.gov. In the platform now, you have access to data from the American Community Survey from 2010 forward. Here we have a look at selected types of tables from the ACS with check marks indicating data available in the platform now, and blank cells showing you data that's coming soon. In addition to the American Community Survey, you also have access to selected data from the Decennial census in 2010. We're continuing to work to add those additional types of tables, as well as data from Census 2000 on data.census.gov. For the Economic Census, we have the 2012 basic U.S. data, as well as county business patterns and non-employer statistics from 2012 forward. In the 2017 column, again, you see those blank cells showing you some upcoming data releases. Also in the platform, survey of business owners, selected tables from there as well. So that's what's available now. In the longer term, we're continuing at the Census Bureau to onboard more surveys and programs and migrate data from American FactFinder into the new platform for you to access. But that was just a look at the current snapshot for you all. In addition to the current snapshot, this is where we're looking at going over the next couple of seasons here. So right now, at the end of spring and moving into early summer, we're going to have the first data releases exclusively on the new platform, data.census.gov. These are smaller releases, but from the economic surveys and programs, non-employer statistics, and public sector data from the Census of Governments and annual programs. With those releases, we're also moving into summer, having the end of new data releases on American FactFinder. What this means is after June, there will be no more new data loaded into American FactFinder. We are working to keep AFF around a little bit longer, but only as an archive to access the data that's there prior to June. This gives us a little bit of extra time to continue to migrate the data from AFF to the API and data.census.gov. It gives you all some time to access that historical information from a way that you're comfortable and used to doing now, and then also a little extra time for you all to get transitioned over to using data.census.gov. So we hope that most of our data users will be like all of you who chose to join the call today and proactively think about these things ahead of time and getting acclimated in advance. But when you're really going to feel the release, if you haven't fully acclimated to data.census.gov, we do have those major releases in fall with the American Community Survey, the 2018 vintage, as well as the 2017 Economic Census release in September. Beyond the milestones shown on this timeline, another important aspect of what we're doing is our agile development process. What this means is every 2 months, we work on improvements to the system, develop them, push them out live publicly, and allow you to provide feedback to help drive our future development and keep us on track. So those updates every 2 months will continue well past fall of 2019. Earlier, we talked about the release last week on April 2nd. This is a small selection of some examples of feedback that helped drive some of the improvements that we pushed live. Not going to go one by one, but just to highlight from that release, we pushed out the new look and feel, rolled out improved navigation, and also enhanced table display. So let's actually go ahead and take a look at some of that here on the live site. You all are welcome to follow along if you'd like. It's the public site, data.census.gov. Again, wanting to show you all the refresh, but also take you through a tour of the site and make sure you're comfortable accessing tables, maps, and web pages. Here on the landing page, we have that refresh of the website where you have the updated look and feel, updated font, color palettes, and button styles that match all of the great work we rolled out to the rest of census.gov last August. This will help give you that cohesive experience across the site. On the landing page, we also, based on user feedback, implemented an additional button here for the advanced search. Some canned searches here that you can click on if you want some help getting started. In the lower left, there's also a feedback box that will follow you throughout the site. Again, it says send feedback, cedsi.feedback@census.gov. Particularly with this release, just as true as in the past, we want to make sure we're getting as much feedback as possible to help make sure that we can provide you what you want and need in a dissemination system, and getting that feedback in writing is the best way to get it over to us. One other thing I'd like to point out here on the site, when you scroll to the very bottom in the lower right-hand corner, the release notes and FAQs, we'll talk more about that later, but here's where you access them. There's lots of great information to keep you up to date and help you get started if you're new to the site. So with the overview of the landing page improvements, let's go ahead and get into some of our searches. I'm going to show you two examples in the single search bar and one example from the advanced search. Just like American FactFinder and other ways you've been accessing census data, there's multiple paths to get to the end result you're looking for, and we recommend starting out with whatever's most important to you. So as an example, we could start with the geography here, Arizona, and we'll pull up the Arizona profile to provide that high-level look. So by choosing that here, we have the profile for Arizona with some basic information at the top about that geography. Also near the top, the 4 most popular statistics from the Census Bureau for Arizona. And as we scroll down, you can see the scroll here on the right-hand side is pretty lengthy. We get lots of detailed information, kind of these high-level statistics, but also some breakdowns in easy-to-digest ways here. Pretty comprehensive, covering a number of topics from the Census Bureau. So we have nice bar charts as well as maps. As an example here, we can take a look at foreign-born. We see 13.2% of the population in Arizona foreign-born versus 13.7% for the United States overall. And then we can see that breakout here by county in the map. With the refresh, we updated some of the labeling here so you can differentiate these high-level estimates, as well as adding here on the left-hand side clickable links. If you see something of interest like education, we can click on that, and it takes you exactly to that part of the profile where you want to go. So with this, we'll go ahead and click in the upper left. If you want to restart your search and start fresh, click where it says United States Census Bureau. That takes you to the landing page, cleans everything out of your search. Next, I'm going to go ahead and type in my second search. I want to pull up health insurance coverage statistics for Arizona, looking at that high level for the total population. And then I'm going to drill down and start looking at health insurance coverage for the young adult male population. So starting again, I can put whatever's most important to me. That may be Arizona to start. It may be your topic. But once you have your topic plus your geography, Arizona health insurance, go ahead and run that search. That takes you to the all results page that you're seeing here. Notice you have tables, maps, and web pages all here on the same page. And when you scroll down, you'll start seeing some of your results. So we have the top 3 results, as well as a button to view all tables. Same thing for maps and view all maps. And just waiting a moment here for this to load. As a reminder, this is a developing site, so sometimes it does help to start fresh. Go ahead and give this one more try here. Okay, so here we have the table that we were looking for, the selected characteristics of health insurance coverage in the United States. This particular table is a subject table from the American Community Survey that has risen to the top of our search results. Subject tables do tend to appear first, simply because they have all the information you need in the first line. So with this, we can see for our geography, the total civilian non-institutionalized population for Arizona being the 6,701,990. And as we follow that line across the table, it gives us that quick win. So we can see 87.8% in Arizona and 12.2% that don't have health insurance in Arizona. From here, I'm going to click where it says View All Tables. And this takes us to our table results page here. So on the left-hand side, we see that we have 83 results matching Arizona and matching health insurance. As we scroll down, we have the option to load additional tables to get to our full 83 results. If you wanted to narrow that down a bit, again, you also have access on this page to the single search bar as well as to your filter panel here beside where it says 83. Clicking that will give you an experience similar to the advanced search. We're going to cover that later, so I'm going to hide that for now, but just want to point out you do have ways to narrow your search right here on this page. So we had talked earlier about wanting to drill into data for the young adult male population in Arizona. Because that's one of the more popular cross-tabulations of health insurance topic, it does happen to be here towards the top of our results. So I'm going to click where it says B27001. Give that just a moment to load up here. So here we have the table, health insurance coverage status by sex, by age. A couple things to point out that are new with this. With the refresh, we push live. You have these orange bars here underneath tables, as well as on the left-hand side with some nice shading behind it. So you have a much clearer view as to where you are navigation-wise in the website. With the refresh on the top, we also have the table title, health insurance coverage status by sex, by age. For the first time with the table title, you can see the year that estimate belongs to as a default 2017, and also whether it comes from the 1-year or 5-year ACS estimates. Another quick thing to point out that you'll notice if you've been using data.census.gov before Monday, you would have seen an experience very similar to this as your default view, where you had fixed column widths and cutoff information, but all of this extra white space to the right-hand side of your screen that wasn't being used. It's one of the ways that we're working to make the site work better for you going forward, particularly with this refresh. So I had clicked in the upper right, Customize Table, to get into that full table view, and we'll start taking a look here at the data. So essentially just scroll down. You can also choose to click on these arrows to minimize certain categories if you're not interested in the level of detail for that. And pretty quickly we can get here to 19 to 25 years. So we see that's falling under males. For that estimate in Arizona, there's a total of 331,451 men age 19 to 25. Out of that population, we see 78,320 do not have health insurance. Scrolling back up a little bit, just want to show you all with the refresh as well, some access to your table controls. Prior to these updates we pushed live, you would have seen all of your table controls on the left-hand side with the full table view. As of now, you get a very distinct view where it takes up the full size of your screen, so you can look at all of the data across your screen. And when you click the upper right, that chevron, it opens up your controls to do a lot of neat things with the table. We'll walk you through just a couple of them. I'm going to start first by clicking Download, Print, and Share in order to show you the downloads here. We'll click first on 2017 and 2016. The nice thing about the downloads is you can download across years for this single table, as well as between the 1- and 5-year estimates. Having made those selections, click Download in the lower right. Let it load up here to 100%, and then click that Download Now button. So then, depending on your browser, we'll determine the way that you'll start to open your zip file from there. And we have our set of 6 files. So essentially what we're looking at here, we have the naming convention ACS for American Community Survey, DT for Detailed Tables, then you see 5Y for 5-year. This is the 5-year estimates for the period ending in 2016 or ending in 2017. And then we have the table ID, B27001. To get the data with all of the labels, you want to go to the files with the naming convention Data with Overlays. So I'm going to open up the one here for 2017, and we'll take a quick look just to compare it to the table view in data.census.gov. So starting with that third row, we see the geo ID corresponding to Arizona, and then all of the estimates from the table that we saw just a moment ago. I'm going to scroll over to the right to column W, and starting at the top, we see the variable name B27001 underscore 011E. That tells us it's the 11th estimate from that table. It also is matching the API variable name, so if you're looking to get information from the API, you can also get that from the table downloads. The second cell here shows data, the label for that, the total number of males age 19 to 25 years with no health insurance. And then finally, that third entry is the 78,320. That's the same estimate that we had looked at on the table display in data.census.gov. Minimizing out of those things, also a lot of things in the left-hand side of your table controls that you can do. One is the ability to add and remove a geography. So once you click Change Geography, you can click on one of the options here on the left, something like County, and then drill down into a particular state, such as Arizona. And I'm going to choose the largest county by population in Arizona, Maricopa County. You can either click that checkbox or the word or phrase, and you'll see that your selection's been made. So scrolling down, we do have the ability to confirm. We see Maricopa County, Arizona, and health insurance as our filters. In the upper right-hand side, once I click that down chevron, it'll minimize the filter panel, or I can click anywhere outside of the white area where it's gray or blue. As we made that selection, the table was already working hard in the background, so we have that third column here for Maricopa County. You can also swap between years by clicking Change Year, 2016, and minimizing that panel, and change the year back. Once again, by clicking that Change Year button, deselecting 2016, give it just a moment for it to register your other selections as clickable, and choose 2017. And then go back into your table. You can also swap back and forth between the ACS 1-year estimates and the 5-year. And then just like before, As you see in the lower left side, we do have margin of error available just as a click away if you want to toggle on and off. Again, all of those estimates from the ACS are based on just the sample, so there is error associated with every one of those estimates to just be mindful of and check out as you're working with the data. One other thing I'd like to note here is under download, there's also view data notes. These are the table notes that you'll want to take a look at as well. Having gone through a lot of those table controls, let's flip over to the maps. I'm going to click here where it says Tables 1 in the upper left. And what that's actually going to take us back to are the full results for Arizona and health insurance. I see in my left navigation panel, I'm still clicked into that same table I was before. So to get to the maps, you just click up at the top where it says Maps. It still maintains your selection here on the left-hand side and begins creating that map for you. So here we also have the maps pulled up previously where we're able to see it's created that map for the state level. And you should be able to make some quick adjustments here. As an example, the default geography would be to have that map at the state level. In the upper right, you can swap back and forth between different layers like state and county. And it knows that I've selected Maricopa County in the background in my selections. You also can add or remove geographies on the map. In the lower right-hand side here, we have that rectangle selection tool. Once you click that, you'll notice it changes to blue, and you can draw a rectangle to select additional counties for your map, as well as clicking an individual county, selecting it on a one-by-one basis. And just like you click a county and select it, you could also choose to click a county and deselect if you'd like, as well as at the top, you're able to see that exact estimate from the county. Working here in the upper right-hand side, again, we also can swap between the ACS one-year estimates and the 5-year. Notice when I do choose those one-year estimates, we have some counties here in gray. That just means that they don't meet the population threshold of 65,000 or more people to make data for the ACS one-year estimates. I want a complete map, so I'm going to choose the 5-year. And so far, we've been mapping the default estimate, which is just your first line on the table for the total population. If we want to look at what we were showing in the table display and in the download, we could choose from that drop-down, male, 19 to 25 years, no health insurance coverage estimate. And from what we see in here, the counties in darker shades of blue have higher numbers of men without health insurance in that age group. Moving on here to our last example, we walked through 2 quick wins with single search and took you through a tour of tables and maps. I'm going to click once again in the upper left where it says U.S. Census Bureau. And now we want to show you an example from the advanced search. So as you guessed, click on the advanced search. Couple things to point out. One thing you'll want to do first is scroll to the bottom and work with these filters. We've been working with some of them through the table controls already. One thing that may be helpful to select through the advanced search is to specify a particular survey, program, or type of table from the American Community Survey. That's all accessible to you by clicking the survey filter in the left-hand side. And here you'll have different options available. At the very top will be American Community Survey tables. I want to work with one of those, and in my example, I'm going to look for data for the Japanese alone population to see the total as well as some characteristics. That data happens to come from the ACS one-year selected population profiles, so we click ACS one-year selected population profiles, scroll down towards the bottom, and we do see that's been added to our search query. From there, you'll want to specify that Japanese alone group, and that's where we're going to start by clicking on topics. Just as an item of note, we have improved and made the way we refer to topics consistent across data.census.gov and census.gov. Our word of recommendation is to take some time exploring these new topics just to familiarize yourself a little bit. You will notice topics for common things like education, health insurance, and income are also in the same panel with things like populations and people and race and ethnicity, which also include your detailed population groups. Maybe a little bit different than how you're used to accessing the data in American FactFinder. To get to Japanese alone, as you would imagine, you click where it says race and ethnicity. And here we see we can start making selections. So at the very top, you do have that box to choose race and ethnicity, or you have items without checkboxes. So any item with a checkbox would be a final selection that's added to your search criteria. Any word or phrase without a checkbox means it's going to open a detailed panel up to your right and give you more options for your particular search. So to get to Japanese alone, of course, you click where it says Asian and open up that panel. Again, you have general categories at the top, as well as that option to click where it says Detailed Asian Alone. So from here, you just simply scroll down until you see your population group of interest. Here I'll click where it says 022, which is the code for that population group in the API. And one other thing to note while we're on this page, you will notice there are some population groups that are grayed out until we get the data loaded from the American Community Survey 5-year estimates for the selected population tables and American Indian tables, as well as migrate that data from Summary File 2 from the Decennial census. Some of these population groups will be grayed out, but once we get the data from our data providers loaded in, we'll make sure that you're able to access data for the population groups overall. So here we have our search query, Japanese alone, 1-year selected population profiles. I click in the lower right, view all results. So here we have our table. I'm going to click just one more time to take a look at a little bit bigger view. So we see that we're looking at data for the United States, Japanese alone population living in the U.S. in 2017. The total population for that group is an estimated 770,546. And as we scroll down, we can start to look at all of the characteristics from this group. Things like their marital status, school enrollment, or educational attainment. So just as a quick example, we could scroll down to the line that says bachelor's degree or higher and see that this group, over 52% has a bachelor's degree or higher. With that live demo, hopefully you all should start to feel comfortable accessing data from the site using the different functionality. Wanted to follow that up with some more detailed guidance and also just kind of recap some of the things we talked about in a different format for you. Again, our single search, we are recommending that as quick wins for all of our users, whether you're just starting out with census data and you want that simple statistic, something like health insurance in Arizona, or that high-level look at a particular geography, like the Arizona profile. We also recommend single search as quick wins for expert users when you know exactly what you want, like that particular industry code, table ID, or groups of tables. Taking a look at some of those examples here in action, on the left-hand side is an example of typing in CP in that single search, which would give you all 5 results for the comparison profiles. Know that particularly for members of the media, this allows you to take a look at a geography over time and how statistics have changed. In the middle here, we have an example of typing in B27 that provides you all 32 detailed base tables for health insurance from the American Community Survey. And on the right-hand side here is an example of typing in B19001. That gives you 13 results. So median household income for the total population, as well as median household income repeated across the major race and ethnicity groups with table IDs ending in A through I. Not only are these quick wins helpful for searching in ACS data, but also having quick wins for other data sets. Here's a quick example looking at a single search bar where we typed in 4451. That is the NAICS code for grocery stores. We also added to the single search all counties in Maryland, and you see that this populated right in our results. This is the very first table that came up in the results. So just another quick example of that win in the single search. Moving on to advanced search, we're recommending that for more complex searches, things like specifying a particular survey, program, or type of table, like the ACS selected population profiles or ACS one-year detailed tables. Also using that as a way to select geographies with complex names like your census tracts, as well as it may be easier to select that single checkbox to get things like all places in the United States. Other complex searches include cross-tabulation, something like health insurance, by full-time, part-time work status, by sex, and your detailed population groups. Those are exclusively available through the advanced search right now. We're working to add them to the single search. We showed you a quick example for the Japanese alone population that corresponds to a detailed population group by race, but we also have hundreds and thousands plus other detailed population groups for tribal areas, Hispanic origin, ancestry, and country of birth. If you'd like more detailed information on how to access data in the advanced search for those groups, we've included slides 17 through 22 with reference material for that, and we'll make sure to email everyone a copy of that following the webinar. Last item of note for the advanced search, we mentioned this in the live demo. Just take some time to familiarize yourself with the topics. They have changed. So with that information, let's take a quick look at some of the things we're working on now. Just like the release we pushed out last Tuesday, we're also working in our next 2-month development cycle on improving the site. Everything's based on user feedback. Here's a small selection of some of the feedback that's driving what we're working on now. What I really want to talk about is what we're doing to improve the way you select geographies. Right now, on the geography filter experience in the advanced search, once you click on the left-hand side, geography, you get a list of summary levels from the Census Bureau. It's a very long list. There's currently no hierarchy. And then common summary levels are buried at the bottom of this long scroll you see here, something like zip code tabulation area as an example. Once you're able to finally sort through all of that complex labeling and choose your level of interest, we're also working with what we call here lazy loading. And what that means is what you're seeing in this second screenshot. So here we've selected county, and then we've selected counties within the state of Alabama. You see I'm almost to the bottom of this scroll, but I'm only to the C's in this result. So what lazy loading means is we're populating the first 30 results in your list of geographies. Once you scroll to the bottom, you'll get the next 30 results in your list. This is something that is by design, feeding all of the information from the API. It's just so much information to feed into our interface and serve out to you in one lump sum. So we do have to do it in sections. Although that is the case, the good news is that we're working on ways to improve your experience, even though lazy loading is something that will continue going forward. So actually, before we get there, as an example, instead of giving you geographies by something like state dash American Indian area, dash off-reservation trust land, dash tribal subdivision remainder or part, another improvement we're working on is to break that down into more manageable pieces where you choose your own path for your geography and break this up into individual clicks of things that actually make sense as you're going along. So this is an example of that in action where we have counties selected here in the first panel. Then we choose counties within state in the second panel, and then we choose the state of Alabama through that third panel. So what that would result in is the list of 67 counties in Alabama. From there, we're working on ways to sort through that list of 67 a little bit more easily. One of the things we're working towards is to add an A to Z click on the right-hand side. As an example, if you wanted to get to Perry County, Alabama, you could just click the P, and it would skip over the lazy loading and load from the P's on forward. Another thing you may have noticed in the upper right of all of these panels is a search icon. Once you click that magnifying glass, you'll have the option to start typing in some words or parts of words, which will search that individual list of geography and nothing else. So here we see we've typed in DAL, and we start getting results for the counties with that text in it. That should help with a lot of the majority of users working with the geography filters, but we're also working to make improvements for advanced users as well. One thing is hiding urban rural by default, but making it very obvious here at the top, implementing a toggle to turn on and off those components. So when you would click the toggle, working to add something to where you would then see Dale County Urban and Dale County Rural. Also, thinking of our advanced users, we're similarly working to add a toggle to show the summary levels. So once you click that toggle, being able to actually have those 3-digit codes, many of you have taken time to figure out what level of geography you're working with in the past, and it's much easier to remember it by that code rather than the jargon name that goes along with it. So being able to scroll and select in order which summary level, and then here in the right, again, having that search icon to be able to search by that as well. Another thing we're working on now is adding more checkboxes to select all geographies in a list, things like all counties in Texas. As you can see here, we have on the right-hand side quite a lengthy list of things that are in the works. This isn't something that you're going to see with the upcoming release, and it may not be something you'll see even for September because many of the checkboxes for things like all counties in Texas are already meeting the requirements for the geographies that those data sets are released in. So we're working to get them as soon as possible, knowing that many of them are needed for the ACS 5-year release and future releases in December. Things like improving the way you select geographies is all driven by user feedback. So we would once again welcome you to submit your feedback at cedfi.feedback@census.gov. Let us know if we're hitting the mark with some of these improvements. If not, what else we can be doing to make your experience better, and we'll try to address as much as we can before September, but do keep in mind that you probably won't be seeing major changes in terms of navigation, so do start to familiarize yourself with the site as we're going. With that, we'll go ahead and start opening it up for questions. If you don't get a chance to ask your question over the phone, members of the media can contact our Public Information Office at pio@census.gov, 301-763-3030, and all other members can submit questions in writing to cedfi.feedback@census.gov. And we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Operator?
Thank you. If you would like to ask a question at this time, you may do so by pressing star and then 1. You will be prompted to record your name, which is used to introduce your question. Again, if you would like to ask a question at this time, please press star and then 1. One moment for our first question.
While we're waiting for that first question to come through the queue, we do want to invite you all to check out resources for learning more. We showed you the link at the bottom of data.census.gov to access our release notes and FAQs to get access to your common questions, charts of available data, lists of features and functionality, and known issues. We do update this every 2 months with each release. Also, we have upcoming webinars like updating the FAQs. We also update you all through these public webinars. Our next webinar will be in June. Another webinar that may be helpful for those of you on the phone, using the Census API with the American Community Survey, June 26th at 2 p.m. You'll be able to get information to join these webinars by visiting the link at the bottom. And if you do go there now, you'll also be delighted to see we have a series of webinars already planned April through June with 58 different webinars on census data. Operator,
Our question is from Amy Swan. Your line is open.
Hi, my question is, now that there's the capability to do some mapping, can you explain, is it natural breaks that's used for the legend?
Sure, so we'll go ahead and go back over here first to the map really quickly. Oh, I thought I had that pulled up earlier. There are multiple ways. There's It's the same things that were in American FactFinder, except we have not implemented the user-defined breaks as of yet. So natural breaks is included, I think quintiles, and there's one other option as well. So it's there and you should be seeing it now. You just have to get to a map and then click on Customize Map here in the right. Sorry, I couldn't find that. So natural breaks is the default. Equal interval is the other one. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Dale Miller. Your line is open.
Hi. I actually have two quick questions, I hope. The first is there a way to save a query so that I don't have to recreate it each time that I go in to use the app?
So the answer to that question is yes. So anything in this URL, unlike American FactFinder where you had to find that special bookmark save button that was hidden in the table view or go through that process to save your query, you can simply copy and paste the URL directly from your browser and it takes you exactly where you were before.
Okay. And then the second question is that I've noticed when I went in and played around with it that if I have multiple geographies, say all of the counties in a state, I noticed that as I scan across to sort of visually take a look, I lose that first column, of course, which has all of the row headers or labels as it would be. Is there a way to change that?
So that is a known issue. As of right now, the reason that we can't address that is in relation to 508 compliance. So we have to make sure that everything's accessible to the entire population. 508 compliance is a mandate for all government websites to be accessible even by folks that may have a disability. So we're running into some technical issues in making that column frozen, which is what you would like because you're able to see it, but also satisfying the requirements to make sure that it's reading the table contents correctly to someone that isn't able to see at all and has to have a screen reader read that information. So definitely good feedback that we'd love to get sent in, and we'll take it back, and it's something that we're aware of, and we'd like to make sure we're meeting both user needs. We're just not aware of a solution as of yet that can make that happen.
Of course, it was available on American FactFinder, so I'm just curious as to why that would be different in this case. But okay, yeah, I appreciate where you're coming from. Thank you.
I do want to just to note that American FactFinder was not 508 compliant, so that could definitely be part of the reason, as well as different technology.
Thank you. Our next question is from Dan Hunting. Your line is open.
Hi, I'm wondering if there's going to be any changes to the way PUMS data is presented. Is that going to be on this site, or are we just going to get that through the PUMS site?
I'm very glad that you asked that question. So in terms of getting to the PUMS data sets overall, you could type something like PUMS in the single search bar and get to the web page, which would take you to the FTP site. But beyond that, one of the things that we're working on right now is knowing that one of the options to access PUMS without using statistical software, not sure if you're familiar with Data Ferret, that's something that has not been able to keep up pace with changing technology and browser needs. We are working on adding the functionality to create custom tables using the PUMS on data.census.gov. So as our timeline right now, what we're working towards is hopefully having some sort of public preview beta available in June, but more to come on that.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Our next question is from Meridian Appraisal Group. Your line is open.
Yes, I was wondering when the 2019 income limits will be available.
Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
I wonder when the 2019 income limits estimates will be available.
I'm not certain when the data providers will be releasing that, but could you email your question to pio@census.gov and we'll be sure to research and get you an answer to that?
PIO, what was that again?
pio@census.gov, and I'll pull that up here as we're taking additional questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
The next question is from Michelle Podgornitzky. Woodgard, your line is open.
Thank you. So a few questions. I'm wondering, do the data notes for the downloadable files contain data dictionaries? So essentially, information about the variables.
There's no data dictionary included in the download. You would need to continue to go to the survey websites to access that information.
Okay. Okay. And then in the search box, does it accept Boolean operators, and if so, which ones? Like, can I put and, especially not? Is not available?
We'll have to check on that and get back with you, particularly in reference to the not being available. But if you could email us either the PIO at census.gov, if you're a member of the media, or fedsci.feedback@census.gov, we'll be happy to get back with you on that.
Thank you. Our next question is from Anthony DeBarros with Wall Street Journal. Your line is open.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm wondering if there's any location in the interface that allows me to view on a table-by-table basis what variables are in each table.
I'm not aware of anything in data.census.gov to view the variables outside of the download itself that I showed you, which corresponds to the API. Are you a user of the API?
Yeah, I use various census APIs.
Okay. I know we do have the groups functionality available. So through the discovery tool, you do have the ability to view the variables that are in a particular table.
Okay.
That I can demo for you live here very quickly, but as a recommendation, either email your question or also stay tuned. That may be something that's covered in the upcoming webinar on Census API.
Okay. Thank you.
Our next question is from Cassandra Sherrill with the Winston-Salem Journal. Your line is open.
Hi. I haven't had a chance to really play around with the new website very much, but just in looking at you downloading the trial sample there, and this kind of plays with the data dictionary question earlier, some of the headers were just sort of like appear to be sort of gibberish numbers. How do we sort of marry what the actual English would be with that number?
Sure. Are you referring to this that I showed, the
yes.
example, the
Yes.
B001_011E?
Yes, stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's the variable name from the API or application programming interface. These downloads in AFF also had variable names with a combination of letters and numbers, but unfortunately those weren't even tied to the API. But if you scroll down to just one cell below, that's where you're getting the label from, and I'll go ahead and expand this so you can see as well beyond the little preview I was working off of here, but hopefully that helps.
Okay, yes.
Thank you. Once again, if you would like to enter to the queue to ask a question, you may do so by pressing star and then 1. Our next question is from Gary Rothstein with the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Your line is open.
Hi, thank you. I am wondering how far back in time the data goes for easy tracking of changes over time. I think you referred to the 2010 ACS. Does it also have the 2010 Decennial census, the first ACS, the 2000 census? How far back?
So as of right now from the ACS, you have 2010 and forward. For Decennial, there is some 2010 data there now. We're working to migrate the remaining 2010 tables with a very few small exceptions. We're similarly doing that for Census 2000. So that may not be something that you're seeing until later in the calendar year. In the meantime, you can access that historical information through American FactFinder, but also longer term, the direction the Census Bureau is going to get that historical information is through the application programming interface. It's also one of the reasons why we highlighted that upcoming webinar as well. So may just be another great resource beyond the other things we mentioned to access historical data.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Miriam with NYU. Your line is open.
Hi, coming back to the table you just had up showing the API variables and the corresponding labels. I see that the labels are not the same labels that are in the tables that were provided in American FactFinder. And so I'm thinking ahead to creating a correspondence between previous labels and these labels. Will there be a master that indicates what is equivalent to what, either in terms of variable names within a table or labels?
Thank you for your question. In terms of a crosswalk between the exact labeling in AFF and the API, which is where these downloads in data.census.gov coming from, that would be something we'd have to take back to the data provider, so the American Community Survey, to see if they could consider that as a resource for data users that could be put together. As of right now, you should be seeing very similar labels, so hopefully nothing alarming or drastic there. But
when it comes to like age and race or ethnicity categories are often very similar labels even within a table that are not actually the same. And I've relied, I'm sure others have too, on our exact labels across time to understand what's equivalent over time. So that might be something to raise with them.
Yeah, we could definitely take that back, and also a great example of comments to send to feedback@census.gov.
Thank you. Our next question is from Brian Holmes. Your line is open.
Hello. I'm just wondering about the future of On the Map. You mentioned some of the other tools in the timeline. I just find that extremely useful and with very unique type functionality. Wondering if that's going to get ported over or if it's ever going to be updated in its current form. Thanks.
Thank you for your question. So as of right now, there's definitely no plans to get rid of On the Map or take away any of those features. What we're working towards is adding some of the things that are working well from that and possibly some of the data that's being fielded on the map, but that's not there right now. So definitely not in the works to get rid of that tool or anything like that. Definitely there to stay for now.
Thank you. Our next question is from Phyllis Cologne. Your line is open.
Hi. I was wondering, in my search for specific percentages of languages for languages spoken for limited English-speaking households, for various Native American groups by tracts. If this new website is going to have a more contain more detailed information, because we have certain public involvement plans that we need to write to address certain environmental, environmental related notices. So we have to make sure that if we need a translator, we can see the predominant language on a very specific, I guess, track level. And I was just wondering if this new tool was going to be able to have more detailed.
That's definitely a great question. We would still be disseminating the same information that our data providers deliver to us. So the ACS would be delivering, I'm not sure if that level of detail is available. If it's something you're able to access in FactFinder now, then that would definitely be coming from the American Indian Alaska Native tables. If you're available to access it, we haven't migrated that particular data set to data.census.gov yet, but it will be coming soon, both for the 5-year period ending in 2016 as well as 2010.
Okay.
Excuse me, 2015 and 2010. So if you need help accessing that type of information, you can definitely contact us and we'll get you funneled over to the right folks. But if it's just a matter of something that the ACS doesn't produce, that would be a data product decision change that would have to come from the provider in order for us to put it in data.census.gov.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Our next question is from Etta Salong. Your line is open.
Yeah, hi. I had a quick question. Just navigating the new site. Typically, if I can't find something, I email. What's kind of the turnaround on sort of getting a response?
Thank you. So the feedback that you're seeing here says sci.feedback@census.gov. We do monitor that on a regular basis every day. It may take us a couple of days to research your question and get to the bottom of your answer. So as long as you give us around 3 business days, we will be able to get back with you and get a response.
All right, thanks.
Our next question is from Ellen Grouse. Your line is open.
Hi, I had 2 questions. One was related to a previous question about saving preferences similar to your selections. So what the URL did was take you back to a query that you'd ran previously. Is there a way to save parameters for a search?
Yeah, if we could definitely research your question and get back with you if you want to email it to us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
As a reminder, you may press star 1 to enter the question queue. The next question is from Sabri Amara. Your line is open.
Yeah, I was wondering if there's a way to get richer data on individuals' information that's populated into the statistics, or am I at the wrong site to learn more about that?
Can you expand on your question a little more?
Like household information, age, or languages spoken in specific households?
Yeah, so there's definitely some data available on the site. It sounds like what you're referring to would be interest in possibly a cross-tabulation. That was one of the recommendations we made for using the advanced search. So choosing like topics under housing, you have lots of different things you can drill into more. And then once you make a selection, like if you wanted something at the household level, and then choosing additional crosses from there. For example, income happens to be something that's tabulated at the household level. Choosing combinations of things and then going down to view all your results.
Thank you. Our next question is from Stephen Banks. Your line is open.
Is there any thought of bringing HUD data like their low mod and other things that they derive from census information to data.census.gov?
As of now, no plans to get information outside of the Census Bureau, even if it's derived from our data into the platform, but we definitely welcome any suggestions in making data easier for you to access. So feedback we can take back, and also great example of things to send to our feedback box.
Thank you. Once again, if you would like to enter the question queue, you may do so by pressing star and then 1. Our next question is from Kayla Goldfarb. Your line is open.
Hi there. All of our questions have actually been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Edward Sussman. Your line is open.
Yeah, I noticed in one of your early slides you have data for the county business patterns. Are you planning on adding data for the zip business patterns?
Absolutely. We just haven't gotten there just yet, so they're something that we'll be onboarding in the future, but nothing concrete to give you right now.
Thank you. The next question is from David O'Brien. Your line is open.
I think my question was already answered. I was going to ask how I can still get access to the P12 tables in the 2000 census, and I believe the answer was that all that data is going to eventually be migrated over.
Yes, correct.
Thank you. The next question is from Christopher Brown. Your line is open.
Yes, it sounds like there's going to be a bit of awkwardness between the sunsetting of information going into AFF and information going into the data.census.gov. So I'm a bit concerned about how library users will be able to discern where to go to get what, other than using third-party sources like Social Explorer.
Great. So just to make sure that we understand your question, for upcoming releases, again, everything's stopping with the population estimates release that's going to be happening in June. Everything forward will go seamlessly into data.census.gov instead of American FactFinder. Right now, we're working towards migrating that data that's in American FactFinder that hasn't quite made it into data.census.gov or the API, depending on what the data providers told us that they wanted the data to be transferred to. That work is in process. We're hoping to complete it by the end of the calendar year. And again, we are keeping AFF around a little bit longer, so you'll have about another year or so to access that historical data right now. So
there's no drop dead. Is there a drop dead date for AFF? Like we can say for sure that it'll be gone by 2021?
We're looking at June 2020 as of now.
June 2020, okay. And, okay, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Lynn DuPont. Your line is open.
Hi. Will we still have access to an FTP site to allow us to download all the tables and sequences for an entire state in any geography?
Absolutely. The FTP sites are still up and running. We're actually working towards better linkages from our site to the FTP site, but as of now, you can continue to go to them just as you've been going before.
And Census 2020 data will be delivered that way?
I'm not sure the specifics for their delivery in terms of FTP. I do know that they intend to deliver on data.census.gov, but beyond that, we could definitely research your question and get back with you if you want to email it to us.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Our next question is from Patty Baker. Your line is open.
Yes, I understand that you're going to be changing the whole geography selection, which is good because it's bad now. But I want to know why on earth you put urban-rural in there, because it makes it 3 times as long to try to page through the list. Doesn't make any sense to me.
So with that, we're pulling everything from the API, trying to make it accessible. We know that urban and rural in American FactFinder was something that was really hidden in the geographies. We had a lot of calls at the Census Bureau and how to access anything on urban rural. So that was just our first attempt in trying to make those geographies more accessible to our users. Didn't quite hit the mark on that, but that's the beauty of this incremental development process and getting user feedback, so we can make things better going forward.
Okay, I hope it's going to be better because it's not good right now.
Our next question is from Winona Gretnar. Your line is open.
Hi, my name is Winona Gardner. My Indian name is Wabananong Morningstar. I'm an enrolled member of the Stockbridge Muncie Band of Mohegan Nation of Bowler, Wisconsin. I reside in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I have family on the Tribal Council, and I work up as CEO of White Turtle Rainbow for Milwaukee. And over the years, there's been a lot of complaints about adequate representation of Native Americans in the census, and what they asked, what kind of initiatives are they doing to improve that?
That is a great question. I know there's a lot of focus on 2020 census, and we know it's important to make sure that we're getting an accurate count for communities. My expertise is in the data itself and disseminating of that, but if you want to email your question or give a call to PIO, that phone number is 301-763-3030. They'll be able to get you in contact with the folks that can answer that.
What is the email address?
It's here on the screen, and it's just PIO@census.gov. at census.gov for Public Information Office.
I can't access this through my iPhone. I'm on the phone.
Okay. So it's P-I-O.
I don't see any screen.
That's okay, but if you want to write down the email address, it's just PIO for Public Information Office at census.gov. So just email them and they'll be able to help you. Thank you. Operator. Oh.
Our next question is from Michelle Podgornick. Your line is open.
Yes, hi. If a search produces no results, how does a user know that there really are no results versus that they just need to rerun their search, like the issue you were having with Arizona health insurance? And then conversely, if a search produces results, can the user be confident that all of the pertinent results are being displayed?
Something that we're working on with user feedback. Given the high volume of folks hitting the site and following along, we're great to have such a large audience on the webinar and people interested and engaged. As a first instinct, I would try to refresh and get to the data again, but if that's still not getting you where you need to be, or even if you don't want to go through all of that, sending us screenshots is going to be the best way, and sending in feedback for the exact search you got to, or just copying and pasting that link from the top. That should help us be able to dig deeper into identifying if this was a system issue or if this is something where the data weren't available because the data is just not simply available due to something like population thresholds from the American Community Survey as an example. But definitely great questions and things we're working on and looking to improve.
Thank you. Our next question is from Marshawn Montgomery. Your line is open.
Hello, huge fan of the new update. Love the visuals. I wanted to ask about the different formats that we could download GIS data in. I know that previously we've had shapefiles, but I'm wondering if there's any consideration for GML or some of the open data formats.
We've received a lot of comments about wanting to have additional ways beyond just shapefiles to download data. I'm not familiar with the exact one you mentioned. I know something like GeoJSON was talked about in the past. Right now, we're focusing our efforts on making sure that we're ready for the upcoming major releases from 2018 ACS and 2017 Economic Census. So definitely being discussed and something that we hope to implement in the future, but it may be a little bit longer before we're able to get to a nice to have enhancement above and beyond the functionality that's required for that release.
Okay, thank you.
Definitely interested in working there. Thank you for that feedback.
Our next question is from Andrew Dietz. Your line is open.
Hi, thanks. Historic tiger lines with selected demographic and economic data were included in an update to census.gov. Will we be seeing future updates to that with the 2017 data?
So I do know you got a similar question. That's something that's kind of outside of the scope of data.census.gov, but just that I happen to be aware of. They're working towards getting those files ready. Last I checked, which was earlier this week, they weren't loaded on the website. But if you email your question in, I can make sure to get an update from the folks in the geography division that make those files and provide you with more detailed information than I have right now.
Okay, thank you very much.
Our next question is from Tim Sheehan with the Fresno Bee newspaper. Your line is open.
Hi, Tyson. Real quick question. I think you may have touched on it with the question a few moments ago about GIS formats, but I wanted to find out a couple of questions. One, the maps that you were showing when you were demonstrating the Arizona demonstration, are those maps downloadable in an interactive form, or is that yet to come?
That's a possible future enhancement that could come later, but as of now, they're not downloadable in an interactive way.
Okay. And the second question I had is, and this may be outside your scope, but what is the anticipated release date for the 2017 Economic Census data?
I don't have a specific date for that, but if you contact our public information office at pio@census.gov, they can definitely circle back with you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As a reminder, you may press *1 to ask a question. Our next question is from Norman DeWeaver. Your line is open.
Thank you. Quick question on geography. Will Tiger remain as it is now, or is something going to happen to that?
No plans for any changes to Tiger. Those are things that you're accessing through census.gov that exists separately. Nothing in the works for that.
Thank you.
The next question is from Linda Alston. Your line is open.
Hi, I just wanted to know, I work with CLF data a lot. Will it be easier to get CLF data, or I should say MSA data, down to the state or the county level, and also by occupational CLF?
That's something that isn't going to change with data.census.gov. We'll continue to provide data as it's tabulated by the surveys and programs. So that would be a question and comment about a data product that would have to be taken back to the folks that make the tables.
Okay. Thank you.
The next question is from Mark Colmaine. Your line is open.
Hi, I have a couple of questions. Will the table IDs change? I heard you mention population estimates, and is it safe to assume that population estimates will get migrated to data.census.gov? Will the LEHD data remain on its own site, or will that get migrated to data.census.gov? And currently on FactFinder, we are able to download Excel files under the View the Data selection that is in a somewhat more user-friendly spreadsheet format than the CSV files. And I noticed on data.census.gov that only the CSV files are able to be downloaded, so I'm curious if those Excel spreadsheets will be available on data.census.gov. Sorry for so many questions. Thank you very much for your time and your presentation.
Thank you for your questions. I have first thing, table IDs, no plans to change that. If for some reason the data providers wanted to change table IDs, we would pull the data as they give it to us, but there's no change associated with transitioning from AFS to data.census.gov in regards to table IDs changing. Population estimates, that is something that would be in scope to be migrated in the future after the releases in June. And then for LEHD data, that's something that's continuing to exist on their own separate websites. We hope to onboard additional surveys and programs, but as of right now, no plans actively with them to do anything there. Definitely no plans to get rid of any of their tools that you are able to access data on now. And then for downloads, we also get lots of feedback from users about kind of wanting a more friendly look. So for your Excel question, we have a lot of feedback. We hope to be able to work towards that feedback, but it's probably something that you wouldn't be seeing before these major data releases, as we're working on things that are required to get the data as a first priority.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next question is from Sean Scully. Your line is open.
Thank you, Tyson. Before, you could download Excel documents, XLS. Now it's just PDF and CSV. Is that correct? And one other question was, before in FactFinder, when there were revisions, they were labeled as such. Will that continue with data.census.gov? Will the revisions will be labeled?
Great, thank you for your question. So Yes, in regards to your question for the downloads, right now it's just CSV available on data.census.gov. PDF is grayed out. Again, having that prettier presentation is a nice to have enhancement that we know a lot of data users need and want in a dissemination system that we're working towards, but just not there yet on either of those. In regards to revised data, we get information on that kind of thing from the API. So having things like superscript, I know certain types of data providers provide that kind of information in different ways. So as an example, like the Decennial census has the ability to have indicators on individual cells in their table because it's a request that they've asked, and we've made sure to have that functionality built into the tool. So yes, you're able to see those data, and it just depends on the particular survey and program and the way the data provider chooses to give us that information through the API.
Okay, I think I understand that. But are you saying that XLS will be provided, or is that not a goal?
Right now, it's just CSV. We hope to be able to do Excel later as a future enhancement, but nothing actively right now. We're working on other things like improving the geographies and other things that we need to have the data ready for those releases.
Okay, thank you.
And Kate, this is Deb here in the room with Tyson. I think we only have time for one more question. So if you could, you know, let this participant through. But after that, I think we're going to have to wrap up for today.
Okay, our last question is from Jamie Dennis. Your line is open.
Hi, thank you so much. Thanks, Tyson, for this webinar. I just have a couple questions. I'm wondering if you can clarify if these items will be in an update or being looked at. So first off is, I noticed in the advanced search you cannot search by table number. So that would be helpful because I didn't realize you could do it in the other search when I kept frustratingly trying to do it in advanced. The other thing is about the margins of error. When you're doing an export of the data, if you're able to modify what gets exported, like if you could drop the margins of error or have those in a separate table, that would be great. And the other thing is I noticed when I pull up a list of all the counties, a search by county or some other geography, I just happen to look at it by county, it pulls them up in some random order. It's not like in alphabetical order. So I wasn't sure on that if these are in the works on to be fixed. And when you answer that, if you could also repeat how often you guys will be doing the updates, pushing out updates for when you do fixes on the new data.gov.
Great, thank you for your question. So in regards to items 1 and 2, the option that you have to search in the advanced search is something that's looking for things in the individual filters right now. Table IDs are not considered a filter, so that's not something you're able to access. But one of the things we're working towards is clarifying what the searches are going towards. So as an example here, you see these search panels, which is what we hope to be working towards going forward. Hopefully that'll eliminate some confusion going forward. But other than that, it's just going to be an education piece for us to make sure that we're directing users to the right place and also working towards great system design. In terms of being able to make adjustments to the table, you can do that in the table display. It's not something that carries over to your downloads as of now. Nothing in the works, but definitely great feedback that we'd consider going forward as we're able to do some of these nice enhancements that you all are bringing up. And then the third one, we definitely would need to look into that a little bit more in order to get you an answer, because you should be able to make sense of those geographies that you're seeing. So. Thank you for those questions. I think we'll go ahead and wrap up the webinar here then. I did have one last item of note that we wanted to make sure folks were aware of. Next week, we do have an upcoming release for the Population Estimates Program for the vintage July 1st, 2018. This will provide you data population estimates for counties, Puerto Rico County equivalents, metropolitan and micropolitan statistical areas. The embargo period for that does start on April 16th with public release on April 18th. For more information, see the link at the bottom for the newsroom. And then we'd also love for you all to take an evaluation for this webinar. We want to make sure that we're making these as useful to you as possible going forward. So any ways that we can improve on the way we're presenting this data to you and giving you updates. Reminds me, Jamie, you also asked how frequently these updates will be. It'll be every 2 months. So every time we have a release, we'll be giving a public webinar to showcase the latest work we've done from that update. The next one's in June, and going forward every 2 months. So thanks again to everyone for joining.
Thank you. This concludes today's conference. Thank you for your attendance. You may disconnect at this time.